How do you actually get paid to be yourself online? It sounds impossible, right? But that's what I've done in the last year, and I'm going to share with you my exact playbook. If you don't know me, I've grown from 0 to over 200k followers across my social media platforms, and my niche is in finance, investing, and self-improvement. So I went from being at my 9 to 5 and doing content creation on the side, and I've basically been working 2 jobs for an entire year, which has been exhausting, but I'll tell you why it was so worth it. So you guys know, one of my big things is always being transparent. Since starting content creation from day one, and keep in mind, I didn't actually start monetizing until like 6 or 8 months in, I have made £48,000, which is much more than my full-time salary of 30,000. Don't get me wrong, I had a 5k bonus once, but that wasn't really something I could rely on. I've done this at 5 a.m. after I got home from work at my weekends. I haven't worked the full 40 hours that I would do at a full-time job. That's a level of scope that I can achieve with this, then I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to make it work. So I essentially doubled my income within a year, but the reason I didn't keep both and I was keeping both for so long is because of a fear of the unknown. It was secure to have that regular paycheck. I have saved up an emergency fund, and I also am pretty confident that I will be able to cover my essential living costs for the next year. So it's a big gamble, but it's something that I've been willing to do, and I essentially get paid to be myself. So I want to show you guys exactly how I got there. I didn't start with any fancy equipment. I literally taped my phone to my bedroom window and filmed, and I just posted. And now I work with massive neobanks like Monzo or investment platforms like Trading 212, and I now get PR packages that look like this. And what I'm going to tell you might surprise you. It's not the traditional route influencer might go down. I didn't actually start wanting to monetize. I started by sharing my interest. I didn't focus on looking aesthetic, which I thought was essential for content creation. I didn't gatekeep information, and most of the things that you hear about growing on social media is completely useless. These are the actual shifts that work for me that you can copy today. Okay, so I basically became an accidental influencer. I posted my first ever video about 5 things that I did in my 20s to get ahead financially. I got 50k views overnight. Obviously, I wanted to keep going because I saw some success. This is a completely different situation for someone just starting to post and they get like 200 to 300 views, stuck in that 300 view jail. I totally get that I come from a different point of view, so this information might be more useful if you've already started your content creation journey. But it is a luck and a timings thing, I think, because if you think about it, my content came at a time where financial illiteracy among especially Gen Z was at its highest, and not many people know what a stocks and shares ISA is. A lot of people don't know what a stock and ETF is. So obviously there were a lot of creators talking about these things, but not many that came from my specific background. And something that I'd say to you is if you're not motivated to get into a certain niche because you say that it's oversaturated, I would say that rule completely goes out the window, because I think, and not to sound big-headed, but there is zero competition. There's zero competition when you are only competing with yourself. When you're showing up authentically and giving value, there is no competition, because when it comes to a personal brand, it's personal. So no one can take away from the fact that you've had your very specific life circumstances. In fact, there's more room to grow. I want to see more finance creators, or want to see more creators in general. When you think about where social media is today, with AI making short form clips or people just using ChatGPT for their scripts, there is so much room to be creative and to add value that if you're doing all these things, you'll shoot right to the top, I'm telling you. But what I did notice was there weren't many finance creators that, one, worked in fashion, pretty random, two, had a past in modeling, again, quite random. And so I almost had the image of someone that was making fashion content, but I was bringing it to a finance side. So I'd say that if you are quite like a nuanced person or multifaceted person, fusing your interests together makes you feel more novel to the audience, because you're bringing a new look to that topic. An example is mixing fashion with health or fashion with fitness, like mixing two things that don't usually belong together. I wouldn't exactly say this is original, because there probably are many creators that do a similar thing to me, but it's about being authentic, because when you're authentically yourself, there is no competition because you're being yourself. So that's one thing that I wanted to make clear, is I never set out to be a content creator. And I think that was key to my quote unquote success, because a lot of people, they DM me, they comment on my videos asking, how do I grow? How do I do this? What you're focusing on there is how you can be helped, not how you can help other people. I started making content because I felt like I had a topic or a bit of knowledge in something that I wanted to help other people with. I wasn't thinking about the PR, the money. In fact, I didn't even know that it was possible for me to get paid this much from content creation. I had no plan to monetize. And that is the key. I think if you're watching this, yes, there's a clickbaity title about how to get paid to be yourself, but understand the one thing, that if you want to be a content creator, get paid to be yourself, the money should not be the first motivator, because people can sense it. Give out so much free, valuable information that in the end, people want to pay you for it. But first, do the work up front, the unpaid work. And trust me, I've put the unpaid hours in. Do that first before you think about monetizing. And the response to my content was insane. Within the first few months, I'd made a couple of £100, nothing to write home about. After about 6 or 8 months, I'd made my first 4 figures. After 12 months, I had made a full-time salary from content creation. It does take time and it takes dedication. So number 2, why I quit my 9 to 5. I wanted to address this because it's kind of important when it comes to content creation. So I was doing it alongside my 9 to 5, and that was pretty hard because even though I had 8:30 to 4:30 hours, I was still waking up at 5 a.m. to film my videos, editing them on the tube, and then when I get home, before I'd shower, eat, do anything, I would make my content. It was the most important thing. And I think if you want to be successful in this space, you have to be obsessed. You have to literally crave making content. If I don't post in a day, it will eat into my mind. I will be unsettled. So maybe that's unhealthy to say, but I think you have to have an unhealthy obsession with success and getting to where you want to get to. And I've seen this in like entrepreneurs or people that start a business. They work 24/7. And I'm not saying everyone should have this level of like hustle culture. Hustle culture is definitely damaging to people's mental health. But a year, guys, a year of my life where I was pretty unhappy, it was worth it. I can honestly say it was worth it to have the release, to have the security that I know I've got an emergency fund, I've got all these things. And if it doesn't work out, I can do something else, but at least I've set myself up to earn a full-time income from this. I'm not just quitting my job and seeing how things go. I've got plans. Why did I quit my 9 to 5? Without saying too much about the company, because I obviously want to keep a good relationship, so I'm going to be very vague, but I was made to do things that were completely outside of my job role because I wanted to progress. But at the end of it, I just felt like I was doing such random things. When I talk to friends, they'd be like, that is just crazy. You have that kind of reaction, you're just like, okay, I feel completely drained, I need to find something else. So I was at some point like hoping to get a different job, but then I actually thought like, okay, I'm going to move somewhere else for like maybe a 5k pay rise, but to be locked in the same place doing the same thing, like the same repetitive tasks. And yes, don't get me wrong, there's jobs out there that are super creative. There's some people that love their jobs. And I'm not dissing the 9 to 5 in general. It was an amazing stepping stone. And I came out of it a completely different person, a more confident person from learning the work environment and the processes and working so closely to a founder themselves. I am not dissing the 9 to 5 in general. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, I knew that I wanted more. I'm not ashamed to say that because even though it was a steady paycheck and I was earning outside of it, I could have kept both and just had a double income. But my content creation, if I could do a brand deal for 4 figures for my full-time salary in a couple of hours, why was I spending 40 hours a week or 120 hours in a month doing that to earn the same amount? I know I make content about personal finance, and the smarter thing would be to stay and do both and have that security. But actually, when you think about the opportunity cost, the cost of me staying at that place would mean that I'm turning down thousands of pounds. So in the actual end, I realized it would be a better financial decision to quit my job because my earning potential could be so much higher making silly little TikToks. So yeah, some people might see this news and think, okay, things were going well and she was just like, YOLO, I'm going to be an influencer. It's actually the opposite. I was unhappy for the last 2 years. And in the last year, I was thinking about what I wanted to do and just working things out. But I was contemplating this for a year. And when you are undecided about something for that level of time, when it finally comes to the day where you're just like, right, I'm going to do it, I'm going to hand in my notice, you feel so sure of your decision because you've spent so long asking friends, family, strangers what their opinion is. And ultimately, it's only your own decision that you can make. And this isn't advice. I'm not saying go and quit your 9 to 5. In fact, you're probably watching this video because you haven't taken the steps to start content creation or you're still on your journey. So don't take this as advice. I'm just more giving you inspiration of what could happen at the end of that. Number 1, I gave insane value for free. So the reason that I know that this works is because the content that I was posting, like the series Investing for Beginners, like all of these various things that I was posting, people would say like you're dropping liquid gold, or, you know, they are so happy they found this or it changed their life. And I'd get paragraphs upon paragraphs of people saying that my content was useful. If you're not getting the same thing, you probably want to ask yourself, you know, how can I get there? What am I going to do that can move the needle so much for people that they will actually send me a message saying that I inspired them? I think people are scared of giving out too much information. They gatekeep because they feel that if they help other people will overtake them. I would say the exact opposite applies for content creation. Giving out information that is valuable, that you probably should charge for, is the key to success. You often think, right, if you're running a race and you slow down to help someone else pass you, they will win. But the opposite goes for content creation, because when you help another person, you elevate yourself. You position yourself as a source of authority and trust, someone valuable. It's all about how you can help other people. And what I want to drill into your head is that it's not about what you can get, it's what other people can get from you. Brands pay for influence. And if you're able to influence people through emotions, through sharing your story or knowledge, that is what they will pay 4 figures for. Two, I mastered Bible content. So when people come up to me on the street, they often say like, Mia, you inspired me to start investing, or I've opened to stocks and shares ISA because of you. Now, I do talk a lot about investing on my page, but it's not the one thing that I talk about. But the key is knowing what people want from you. I knew that was my signature thing. That was something that people were going to come to me for information about. I really drilled into it. And content creation is all about seeing what works and rinsing and repeating. Like, I have a lot of different hobbies and interests, but finance was the thing that I knew people wanted to hear from me about. Work out what your signature content is, what you want to be known for. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you're the most interested in, it's what other people find interesting about you. Number 3 is consistency. Now, you're probably rolling your eyes because every person that helps with content creation growth says the same thing. So, how often should you post? That's the most common question people ask. It's not about how often, it's about the quality, but also the consistency. So you could post 3 times a week, and that may not seem like a lot, but if all of those posts are high quality and that's what's feasible for you, totally do that. But it's about the consistency of how you show up. In your videos, is one filmed in a different room, the other one's bad lighting, the other one you're wearing a different outfit. Try and keep a consistent aesthetic to your videos. And I'm not saying it has to be ultra aesthetic. I'm just sitting in my living room. It's not, you know, I don't have anything in the background, but good lighting. Don't need to invest in a high quality microphone. I've only just splurged on one. But in terms of posting, when I get asked this, I would say try and post as much as you can without burning out. Key is not burning out. So if you feel like this is too much, then obviously draw back. There's things that you can do, lower effort forms of content like carousels, 7-second videos. There's other things that you can be doing other than like a 1-minute video, for example. I focused on 1-minute videos because I get paid for views, and I've made consistently like £1,000 from the Creator Fund program. But you don't have to go down that route. There's other like high return on investment tasks that you can do. If someone said to you, right, if you could play the lottery for free, how many times would you do it? 1 million times? Like, you'd do it every single day, wouldn't you? That's the same with content creation. Every time you post, it's a new chance for a brand to see you, an opportunity, an event to get invited to, PR to receive. Every time you post, and I'll give you an example. I posted Birkin versus S&P 500 video. It was all about what's a better investment, and I know the answer myself, but it was more like an interesting thing that I wanted to explore, fusing finance and fashion, just adding a novel topic. Anyway, it got like 11k views, which is, on my scale, that's pretty bad. However, I think because I mentioned one thing, which was diamonds, I had a natural diamonds like research paper reach out to me to do a video about that. So it doesn't matter if your content, you put it out and you think it's not high performing. I've seen people put out like really low view content, but then a brand asks them to buy the usage rights for like 100 quid or something. So putting out anything is going to be important as long as it has some value. Number 4 is I made boring topics personal, and most importantly, evoked emotion. Anyone can make a video about underconsumption. That's a really popular trend right now. So I thought, instead of saying 5 things I do to underconsume, which anyone can do, I made my own phrase, which is frugal chic. And this is a phrase that Who What Wear wanted to interview me about. So when you come up with something original, something that's clever and a novel idea, people will catch on to it. And I've had lots of people use that phrase in their videos, sometimes not even tagging me. But that's the key. When people are copying you, you know you're doing something right. So look, I'm going to say this right now. If no one's copied you, no one's made a hate video about you yet, you need to be doing more. Not only that, when I'm talking about personal finance, I am happy being transparent and sharing my journey. And that, I feel, has been the key in getting to my level of success, is because I was not afraid to say what my income was or what my expenses were. Like, yes, That's why I'm saying this video is not for everyone. It's for people that really want to get to where I am. You have to know the things that I did. And it may look completely different depending on your niche. Like, say, for example, you're in the health niche and you're talking about maybe like a health struggle that you went through. That is super personal. And a lot of people would not feel comfortable sharing that. But if you're in that niche, then that matters. In the finance niche, it could be that you struggled with a spending problem and you're cutting back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that you could potentially share that people might think is shameful, but actually sharing it helps other people. So, being transparent with obviously something that you feel comfortable sharing is super important and is going to help your growth exponentially. It sets you apart from people that are just making generic ass content. 5 is I focused on high ROI tasks. Because I was doing this full-time job and doing content creation on the side, I felt like my brain was scrambled and I didn't have a lot of time, as you can guess. What I did is I focused on high return on investment tasks. I knew that posting was the highest return on investment that I could do, particularly short form, because this is top of the funnel of any like marketing funnel. Focusing too much on your profile picture, your YouTube banner, like making fun graphics on Canva. This is something that I only leaned into recently. It was all about posting, because that is what would give me the highest return. Load of tasks to do, focusing on the brand deals because they're the thing that pays you. And number 6, I built community, not just content. So when I was first making content, if someone commented on my videos and it was related to my niche and I could see that they posted similar content, immediately followed back. I will comment. Something that I even do is sometimes I'll just go on my following feed and I will just go and comment on every single person's video. I mean, transparently, sometimes I don't even watch them. I just want to support them. But the key is I show up for other people. How do you expect other people to clap for your success if you don't do the same for others? What I did was I aligned myself with similar creators. So when I was first starting out, if someone like bigger followed me, I used that to align myself with those people. Like when people think of me, they might associate me with similar other creators, but that was deliberate. I met up with those people. I added value to their lives. We networked. It's basically digital networking. You can't expect to do this alone in isolation. There's always these communities that you need to be a part of. So that is a brain dump of all of the things that I feel I did to see success in this space. So if you take anything away from this, it's to stop thinking that posting is cringe. In 2025, like you've seen those videos saying you'll have more success following your dreams than your 9 to 5. Like, it's kind of where we're at. Like, if you have a passion, if you think you can build a personal brand, especially do it while you're at a 9 to 5, while you have that security. Advice is just post and don't just keep posting into oblivion. Learn from your posts, learn what went well, and keep iterating. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on further videos from me.